Maplewood, Ohio was the kind of town where life moved slow. The kind of town where neighbors left pies on each other's doorsteps and waved across the street. Crime didn't belong here, at least that's what people thought. That illusion shattered on the night of October 14, 2019. Emily Carter, a 32-year-old nurse at St. Mary's Community Hospital, had just finished her late-night shift. Known for her compassion and steady hands, she was the kind of nurse families prayed to see when their loved ones were admitted. She clocked out at exactly 11:07 p.m. Security cameras showed her leaving the hospital parking lot in her silver Honda Civic. But Emily never made it home. The next morning, she missed her shift. Friends called her phone, straight to voicemail. Her apartment door was locked, her car sat in its usual spot, and her purse was on the passenger seat. But Emily was gone. Maplewood, a town of just over 8,000 people, erupted with fear. For the first time in decades, parents double-checked their locks, and people whispered at grocery stores about predators in the night. At first, investigators believed Emily had fallen victim to a random act of violence. A woman walking alone late at night was vulnerable, and it wasn't unheard of for drifters to pass through Maplewood. Police canvassed highways, searched wooded trails, and interviewed registered offenders. But days passed. No ransom note. No witnesses. No sign of Emily. Then came the first revelation. Detectives pulled her phone records. Between her shifts, Emily had been exchanging dozens of late-night texts and calls with someone saved simply as A. The frequency was unusual, sometimes 3-4 calls in a single night. Bank records revealed another strange detail. In the weeks before her disappearance, Emily had withdrawn nearly $5,000 in cash. Her family had no idea why. And then, 3 days before she vanished, surveillance cameras at a gas station on the edge of town captured Emily stepping out of her car. She wasn't alone. She was seen meeting a man inside a black sedan. That man wasn't a stranger. He was Dr. Matthew Brooks. Dr. Brooks wasn't just anyone. He was one of the most respected physicians at St. Mary's, known for his professionalism and generosity. Married for 12 years, father of 2, Brooks was admired in the community. To most, he represented everything stable in Maplewood. When detectives questioned him, Brooks admitted that he and Emily had been having an affair for nearly a year. He insisted that she had become emotional in recent weeks, pressing him to leave his wife. The last time he saw her, he claimed, they had argued and she drove away. But doubts lingered. Coworkers described Emily as increasingly distracted, stepping outside for hushed phone calls, sometimes crying in her car before returning to her shift. A fellow nurse recalled Emily saying, "If he doesn't make a choice soon, I will." Detectives dug deeper. A search warrant was obtained for Brooks's property. His home was immaculate, almost too much so. But the real discovery came when officers expanded their search to his family's old cabin, 40 miles away, deep in the woods. Behind the cabin sat a weathered storage shed. Inside, police uncovered Emily's hospital badge, her white nursing shoes, and faint bloodstains on the concrete floor. Lab results later confirmed the blood belonged to Emily. The evidence was damning. Yet still, no body had been found. And without it, prosecutors knew their case would be vulnerable. The question was why. Friends of Emily painted her as hopeful about the future. She had even spoken of leaving Maplewood, starting fresh somewhere new. But her conversations with Brooks revealed a different side. She had grown tired of secrecy, of being hidden in the shadows of his family life. According to prosecutors, Emily wanted Brooks to leave his wife. She had threatened to expose the affair if he didn't. For Brooks, exposure meant humiliation, the end of his career, and the collapse of his reputation. What started as an affair built on stolen moments had spiraled into ultimatums and desperation. And in that desperation, investigators believed Brooks silenced her permanently. By the winter of 2019, the case consumed Maplewood. Vigils were held at the town square, candles flickering in the cold night air. Her parents, devastated, pleaded on local news. "Please, just tell us where our daughter is." We just want to bring her home." In December, Dr. Brooks was formally arrested and charged with second-degree murder. The town was stunned. How could a man sworn to heal be capable of such destruction? Yet, even as the case moved forward, a chilling question lingered. Where was Emily? The prosecution had evidence, motive, and a suspect in custody. But without a body, without the final piece of the puzzle, doubt crept into the minds of Maplewood's residents. Could it be possible that Emily was still out there? And then, just weeks before the trial, investigators received a tip that would turn everything upside down. And a discovery that made detectives question everything they thought they knew. As the trial loomed, the case seemed solid, until an envelope arrived at the sheriff's office. Inside was a letter, typed and signed, but unmistakable. It read, "Emily isn't gone. She's safe. Stop looking in the wrong place." The letter was postmarked from Cleveland, Ohio, over 200 miles away. Detectives scrambled to verify the lead. Cameras at a bus station captured a woman, same build, same dark hair, boarding a Greyhound bound for Cleveland on the night of Emily's disappearance. The grainy footage sparked doubt. Had Emily left voluntarily? If she did, why were her belongings found in Brooks's shed? And why had he hidden them? Defense attorneys pounced on the new evidence. They argued Emily had run away, overwhelmed by the affair and the mounting pressure. Without a body, they claimed, the prosecution had no murder case. But investigators weren't convinced. They sent the mysterious letter for forensic analysis. The paper was common, the ink untraceable, but there was one crucial clue. A faint fingerprint smudged on the corner. It wasn't Emily's. It wasn't Brooks's. It belonged to a different man entirely, someone with a criminal record. Someone who had once lived in Maplewood. His name, Aaron Mitchell. Mitchell was a former EMT who had been fired from St. Mary's 2 years earlier after a drug-related incident. Rumors swirled that he had once dated Emily briefly, long before her affair with Brooks. Detectives now faced two chilling possibilities. Either Aaron Mitchell was helping Emily hide, or he had taken her himself. Theories divided the town. Was Brooks the desperate lover who killed Emily to protect his career? Or was Mitchell the jealous ex, resurfacing to reclaim someone he couldn't let go? Detectives revisited Mitchell's past. He had struggled with addiction, lost his job, and left Maplewood in disgrace. But acquaintances said he often spoke about unfinished business back home. Had Emily been that unfinished business? The trial against Brooks was collapsing under the weight of doubt. The defense painted him as a flawed man, guilty of infidelity but not murder. Without Emily's body, the jury hesitated. Then came the twist. A hiker, wandering the woods outside Cleveland, stumbled across a torn piece of fabric snagged on a branch. Nearby, buried beneath leaves, was a cell phone. The phone was cracked, but still traceable. It belonged to Emily Carter. And on the device, recovered from its cloud backup, was a series of text messages sent on the night she vanished. The final message read, "He's here. I have to go." But the name of the sender, the person she had been texting, wasn't Brooks. It was Aaron Mitchell. So was Dr. Brooks an innocent man, and had investigators been chasing the wrong suspect all along? And if Aaron Mitchell was the last person Emily contacted, what exactly happened the night she disappeared? At first, suspicion fell on Dr. Matthew Brooks, the married physician she was secretly involved with. But just as the trial against him began, a new suspect emerged, Aaron Mitchell, a disgraced former EMT with a troubled past and an old connection to Emily. The case seemed to shift, until investigators uncovered Emily's cell phone, buried outside Cleveland. Her final message was chilling. "He's here. I have to go." The text was sent to Aaron Mitchell. Detectives brought Mitchell in for questioning. At first, he denied any contact with Emily, insisting he had left Maplewood behind years ago. But when confronted with the fingerprint on the mysterious letter and the text messages on Emily's phone, his composure cracked. He admitted Emily had reached out to him a week before her disappearance. According to him, she was scared, not of him, but of Brooks. She said he was threatening her. Mitchell claimed, She wanted out, and she needed help. Mitchell insisted that he met Emily on the night she vanished. He said he planned to drive her out of Maplewood, give her a safe place to stay. But then, according to Mitchell, Emily never showed up. His story raised more questions than answers. If he was telling the truth, then who had Emily really met that night? Investigators dug deeper into Emily's digital trail. Bank statements showed those mysterious cash withdrawals, nearly $5,000. But where had the money gone? Tracing the bills, they found that some had been used in Cleveland convenience stores, days after Emily disappeared. Security footage confirmed the purchases, but the person spending the money wasn't Emily. It wasn't Mitchell. It was a woman, mid-40s, blonde. Someone who looked oddly familiar. Detectives froze the frame. It was Dr. Brooks's wife, Laura. When confronted, Laura Brooks at first denied everything. But under mounting evidence, she admitted she had known about the affair for months. And she wasn't just aware of it, she had confronted Emily directly. Laura's story was chilling. She described how she followed Emily after a late shift, cornered her in the hospital parking lot, and demanded she end things with her husband. But Emily, strong-willed and tired of living in secrecy, refused. According to Laura, Emily threatened to expose everything. She said she was going to ruin our family. Take everything I had left. Investigators now had three tangled motives. Brooks is desperate to protect his reputation. Mitchell, the troubled ex with a history of obsession. Laura, the betrayed wife with everything to lose. Each had a reason. Each had the opportunity. But only one knew where Emily really was. Detectives searched Laura's car and found faint traces of blood under the floor mat. DNA confirmed it belonged to Emily Carter. The discovery rocked Maplewood. Had the town's beloved doctor been wrongly accused, while his wife carried out the crime? Just as prosecutors prepared to shift their case against Laura, another twist shattered their certainty. Forensic technicians analyzing Emily's phone uncovered one final unsent draft message, timestamped just minutes after her last text to Mitchell. The message read, "It's not him. It's not who you think. Please tell my parents." The draft cut off. No recipient. No explanation. So if it wasn't Brooks, and it wasn't Mitchell, and it wasn't Laura, then who was Emily trying to warn us about? And could the real danger be someone no one ever suspected? Forensic experts recovered deleted data from Emily's phone. Among the fragments was a voicemail she attempted to record that night. The audio was muffled, but a distinct voice could be heard in the background, calm, authoritative, familiar. It wasn't Brooks. It wasn't Mitchell. It wasn't Laura. The voice belonged to Sheriff Daniel Harper, the very man leading the investigation. The discovery rocked the case open. Detectives from the State Bureau quietly took over. They retraced Harper's movements the night Emily vanished. Cell tower records placed his phone near the Cleveland bus station, just as the letter claiming Emily was safe had been mailed. Digging deeper, they uncovered a hidden connection. Emily had once filed an internal complaint against Harper. She had treated a young woman in the ER who claimed Harper was abusing his authority. Emily quietly supported the woman's testimony. Though the case never went public, Harper never forgot the betrayal. To him, Emily wasn't just a nurse. She was a threat. The evidence trail grew darker. Security footage from a gas station outside Cleveland showed Harper's truck the night Emily disappeared. In the passenger seat, a woman matching Emily's description. Sheriff Harper had built his career on a spotless reputation, admired as Maplewood's protector. But behind the badge was a man terrified of scandal. Emily knew too much about his misconduct, about his abuse of power, and he feared she would come forward. Her affair with Dr. Brooks, her rekindled contact with Mitchell, even Laura's confrontation, they were distractions that Harper carefully exploited to divert suspicion. He planted Emily's belongings in Brooks's shed. He manipulated Mitchell with anonymous letters. And he quietly encouraged Laura's jealousy, knowing she would eventually crack. It was a web of misdirection. And all along, the real predator was wearing the uniform of justice. In late 2020, investigators unearthed the final, tragic piece of the puzzle. A shallow grave in a wooded area near Harper's hunting cabin held the remains of Emily Carter. DNA confirmed her identity. She had been gone from the very night she vanished. When confronted, Harper showed no remorse. He insisted he did what had to be done to protect his town and his name. The trial that followed shook Maplewood to its core. Its sheriff, once trusted beyond doubt, was sentenced to life without parole. For Emily's parents, the truth was a bitter comfort. Their daughter's story had ended in tragedy, but her courage, her attempt to warn them with that unfinished message, helped expose the darkness hiding in plain sight. The town of Maplewood never fully recovered. Memorials were held, the hospital where Emily worked planted a garden in her name, and her story became a haunting reminder. Evil doesn't always lurk in strangers. Sometimes it wears a badge, a smile, or the face of someone you thought you could trust. Emily Carter's disappearance was more than a crime. It was a mirror, showing how lies, betrayal, and silence can destroy even the closest of communities. And though justice came too late, her voice, though silenced, still speaks. Not every secret stays buried. Fade to black.